All right, real quick, I'm gonna go over finances by doing like the easiest possible way that I can do this. Ooh, let's see if I can figure out how to work my computer again. And it's not by hitting that button, it's by hitting that button. So many buttons. All right, so I totally cheated and got like Chat GPT to do like all of the homework for me again because I'm just this is after working today. I'm tired. Nobody cares. But look, crypto is at 13 on the fear and greed index, and that's actually somewhat of an improvement from when we were at 5 not too long ago. Does anybody remember that? But the stock market is down to a 28. Now, I wonder why. Wonder why. I wonder why. Is anything happening this week? Huh. Oh. Could it be tied to oil by chance? Just just a maybe. Could it be tied to oil? Okay. Before I read this, does anybody know what the oil? How do you look for oil on here? Oil futures. Is that a good one to look at? Does anybody know? Oof. Oof. That was Sunday, huh? Monday. A little bit of recovery. What is happening there, man? Oof. So, if you don't know, if you've lived under a rock, it has to do with Iran and the Strait of Hormuz, and if it's just oil. And wow, I guess the oil. I guess that's where the world lives on oil. But along with that, while I got this up, what's interesting is if you look at BTC, that's a 1 hour chart. Let's get a 1 day, 1 day, 1 day. And we're currently sitting at 69,811. Not bad. So we're doing what since Sunday? March 1st. This is since Friday. Huh. Let's do the 4 hour chart. Since Friday. $65 low, 71 high. Huh. Isn't that weird? Hmm. It's almost like it's all either sitting in an ETF or sitting in people's wallets who don't really care to try to sell it right now. Or maybe it's all sitting over at strategy, or whatever it's called. And you could say what you want, but that's pretty much the news. That's the only thing anybody's even really looking at this week. So I'd be interested to know if there's a stock tied to like Pokemon cards or something, because this is what they want you to see. What are they hiding? What are we not paying attention to? Okay, so what does GPT say? It says, as this week unfolded, the market has been trying to price in two competing possibilities at once. On one hand, there is a genuine geopolitical risk tied to energy supply. On the other hand, there is still this idea floating around that if the conflict does not widen, some of the panic in crude may fade back down. That tension has been shaping the mood across stocks, commodities, and crypto all week. Looking at Bitcoin, it has bounced back some today, trading around the 70,000 area after swinging around quite a bit intraday. But I think the better way to frame Bitcoin right now is not necessarily that it is behaving like a traditional risk asset. It is more that Bitcoin often seems to move to its own rhythm. It may react for a moment to macro fear or broader market emotion, but then it tends to go right back to doing what Bitcoin does. So while stocks and commodities may be getting pushed around by the headlines, Bitcoin still feels like it's following its own path more than taking direct orders from the rest of the market. For the S&P 500, using SPY as a stand-in, stocks were only modestly lower on the day. That relative calm matters because it suggests that equities are still trying to stabilize even with all of the noise. But they are absolutely still trading under the shadow of energy prices and geopolitical headlines. Oil has been one of the biggest pressure points for stocks so far this week, because when crude spikes, investors immediately start thinking about inflation, consumer stress, and slower growth. And again, oil has been at the center of the story. This week brought some extremely sharp moves in crude, including very large intraday swings that got traders' attention in a hurry. After that big surge early in the week, oil just then pulled back hard. That reversal matters because oil is acting like the transmission mechanism for fear right now. When oil jumps, it raises anxiety across the entire market. When oil cools off, it gives everything else a little room to breathe. As for gold and silver, they still look a little like they're doing what they often do in uncertain moments. Both have remained supported as traders continue looking for safety and hard assets. That is worth paying attention to, because even though oil has backed off from the most extreme part of the move, the appetite for defensive positioning has not disappeared. In other words, the market may be calming down somewhat, but it's not exactly comfortable. So if you zoom out and look at the week so far, it has come in stages. Last week, late last week, and into beginning of this week, the tone turned more cautious. Then Monday brought the real oil shock. And now today feels more like a partial reset, where traders are trying to decide whether that spike was the start of a bigger trend or just the most emotional stretch of the move. And that's probably still the main lens going forward. Watch oil first. If crude keeps easing, that could help stocks settle down and give the broader market some relief. But if oil starts ripping higher again, it could quickly put pressure back on equities while keeping precious metals well supported. And Bitcoin may notice all of that for a minute, but it still tends to act like Bitcoin. It does not always seem all that interested in asking permission from stocks, oil, or the broader macro crowd before making its own move. And that's all I got for the market.